Hi, welcome to another 1 Minute Wednesday, and today might be a little bit of a longer video because we're going to talk about remote working and what you need to check as a business in light of the coronavirus isolation or remote working implications that may be placed upon our businesses. So you're stocked up with pasta and your loo roll and your hand sanitizer, but what do you do next? First of all, protecting your business from cybercrime is our number one priority when thinking of any solution. And for us, working or designing your solution for working from home around relying on your employees to have secure home devices is just not an option. You cannot dictate where your data ends up. You cannot remote wipe those devices. You basically have no control over your company data whatsoever. So the first part of our checklist is just really, do you have the right equipment to enable home working, whether that's PCs, laptops, mobile devices, tablets, and that's all going to depend as well on the type of data that you need to access. Typically, as a very good guide, what you use in the office is mostly likely what you're going to need when working from home to work with the most continuity. So our second step on from that is, once you've got your devices sorted out, actually what data or services or applications do you need to access? And as part of this, what I would suggest you do is make up a little table like this one on screen. So what system do you need to access? Email or Office 365. How do you access that? Well, it's all online, all our files are there, our emails are in there. And then who needs access to that data? Is it everybody? Is it a department? Is it a particular person? And if you're not currently set up in the most efficient manner, you mostly want to kind of scale back the requirements. Once we've got that list of services that you need to access, and I think that is a really important step because you'll be amazed at the small things that you miss. So I would kind of circulate that among your departments and staff and say, actually, what data do you really access on a daily or weekly basis, and make that form part of your plan. So once you've got that table together, is actually make another table like this one based on the person and the device they're going to be using, the access they require, and what you may need to do as part of getting this set up for them. This is likely where you're going to need to involve your IT provider or IT department, but say that everyone needs to be able to access their email on Office 365. You could do that on mobile devices. And that's great until you then need to work on the files that are emailed across to you, etc. So we'll use that table and kind of create yourself a bit of a to-do list. The next item you may need to consider are your telephones. Especially if you're a B2C business where you've got a lot of phone traffic coming in, how do you deal with kind of the public contacting yourselves? Now, typically, if you've got a VoIP or hosted telecom system, you're going to be best placed because they're very flexible in what you can do. For example, you can pretty much literally pick up a handset, take it to anywhere with an internet connection, and plug that in, and you should be up and running as you were in the office. A couple of considerations for that if you're taking physical handsets home are that typically they are powered over the network cabling in an office environment, so you'll need a power supply and you will need to cable it back in to the internet router. Typically they're not wireless, although some phones you can get wireless modules for. So you'll need to power it, you'll need to be able to give it an internet connection, which is quite often the sticking point at home because the router is at home or upstairs or kind of out away from the place you're going to be carrying out your work from home. Another option is to use what we call a soft phone or a mobile soft phone, and this is where your PC has a piece of software installed which basically acts as your telephone. So you can use a pair of headphones with a microphone and utilise that for making and receiving calls without having to take any hardware home with you. If you're using Office 365, the best way to collaborate and share files is mostly to use Microsoft Teams. And if you're one of the companies like ourselves that use it literally for everything, you're pretty much set that you can take your laptop and work from home, and there may be very little difference, if any. So if you don't already use Microsoft Teams, it might be worth planning to look at Teams, and even if it's just to move a small subset of data into Teams for those that need to work from home more immediately than others, maybe. And then as and when you need, you can move some data from the server into Teams or other locations into Teams, etc. Teams is great as well because it gives you kind of instant messaging and video conferencing, so the team really can work as collaboratively as possible when being remote. So, a quick rundown of the considerations for you to check. Like I say, this is a very quick and dirty checklist. You'll likely need your IT provider's input as well, but just to get you thinking about what you need to be doing. So, firstly, check the systems that you need access to. Like I say, you'll likely need your IT provider's help there to tell you where they're located. Are they on server? Are they cloud hosted, etc. And then from this, create your to-do list of items that might need actioning to be able to help you access those data or services, applications that you've identified in step 1. See what the possibilities are for your telephone calls. Can you work from home with a soft phone? Do you need to take physical devices home and plug them in, needing cabling and power supplies? Or can you use, like I say, the soft phone really is mostly the quickest way to get up and running. And if you're using Office 365, all I'd say is that if you're using one of the higher subscriptions, the Business Premium subscription or above, you're already paying for a lot of the services that you will have or you will need to work remotely as collaboratively as possible and with the minimal of disruption. So yeah, really, if you're not utilising Office 365 as fully as you should be, then contact your IT provider, talk to them and see what the options are for using Teams to help you enable remote working for your team. If you need any specific advice, just let us know, drop us some messages in the comments, contact us. So there's a few points there just for you to start the thought process off and go from there. Hopefully next week I'll see you from the office. If not, I'll be working from home because we can. I'll see you then.